It's time for Debrief, your weekly review of TRT World's top stories.
And the US economy shrinks in the first quarter amid...
I'm not like this close.
Europeans will likely point to a key element of this deal.
Israel is once again in the dock at The Hague. This time, the matter at hand is Israel blocking aid into Gaza, and whether there is any legal basis for the Israeli parliament banning UN activity in the occupied Palestinian territories.
The hearings coincide with Israel's ongoing bombing campaign in Gaza and a nearly 2-month-long strict siege of the almost completely destroyed enclave.
This is what no food or aid entering into Gaza for nearly 60 days looks like.
The World Food Programme, food supplies for our core food assistance program within Gaza are fully depleted.
More than 2 million Palestinians in the Gaza Strip are also facing the risk of death by starvation.
The international community cannot accept the reality in which an entire civil population is deliberately starved by Israel, where the United Nations is evicted and deprived of its immunities and privileges.
What a lot of people here are hoping for is the suspension of Israel's membership from the UN.
It is indeed unlikely, although that power absolutely exists within the Security Council. And the UN General Assembly does indeed have power to question a decision by the UN Security Council.
Israel denies deliberately targeting civilians and aid staff as part of its war with Hamas and did not attend the hearing.
The UN has become a rotten, anti-Israel and anti-Semitic body.
Israel has said that they were complicit in the October 7th attacks, although we still haven't seen any evidence for that altogether.
We provide relief, social services, water, sanitation, education and healthcare. We need to be able to provide these services because there's a population that doesn't have alternatives.
It will take a few months for the ICJ to formally release its advisory opinion. It's not going to be legally binding. However, that doesn't mean it doesn't hold legal weight.
If you cannot hold leaders or generals or soldiers to account while a conflict is going, as opposed to potentially putting someone on trial when a conflict is over in 5, 10, 15, 20 years, assuming they're still alive, then what ultimately is the point of international law beyond history?
1,000 people to build the rest of their plants and to employ 20,000 people for the rest of time. This is all driven.
You never saw a site like that.
And this is all driven by your tariff policies. No chance this be happening without you.
Well, President Trump has now been in office for 100 days.
Most historic start to a presidency in American history.
We just don't know whether American democracy, as we know it, will survive.
The raw numbers on executive orders.
65,000 people have been deported. He called immigrants monsters and criminals.
Foreign students critical of the US policy in support of Israel's war in Gaza have been targeted. Tens of thousands of federal workers have been fired.
Tariffs and trade policies are one of the main reasons his approval rating stands so low.
The worst performance of any president at this point at 100 days in history.
Many people are angry that Washington is targeting China with its tariffs.
Tariffs will cause inflation. Tariffs will reduce international trade. Reduction in trade, particularly between China and the US.
Nobody wants this trade war because it affects ordinary people.
America is so unreasonable, he says. What should I do? Take back all these goods you don't want anymore?
You probably saw some numbers today.
The US economic report revealed that the country's GDP had shrunk by 0.3% in the first quarter of 2025.
And I have to start off by saying that's Biden.
Even those who voted for the administration are beginning to wonder, are they going to be able to bring prices down? And Americans are beginning to say, there's a recession coming.
He's tried to suggest he'll do land grabs in Greenland, in Canada, the Panama Canal.
Iran wants sanctions relief in exchange for curbs on its nuclear program.
Iran and the United States are giving diplomacy a chance.
For 80 years, Europe felt safe because America had its back. But after just 25 days of this White House, all that changed.
The era of the peace dividend is long gone.
The US has kept Europeans out of negotiations over Ukraine.
He hasn't stopped the killing in Ukraine. He hasn't, in terms of foreign policy, he deserves kind of a D-. His failure to stop the killing in Gaza, which is not only a crime, but it's It's an existential moral problem.
Israel hasn't allowed a single truck to enter Gaza for 60 days. I believe soon people are going to start dying if this war crime does not end as soon as possible.
Since Trump took office, he hasn't done a single good thing for us.
Israeli war on Gaza continues, and now we are expected to wait for Trump to solve the crisis?
And don't blink, here's the news and briefs with even more top stories.
Starting in southern Europe, a rare power outage has plunged daily life into chaos. Spain, Portugal, and parts of France and Andorra were hit with a blackout around noon on Monday, lasting nearly 8 hours. Traffic lights went dark, trains and metros abruptly stopped, leaving passengers stuck in carriages or forcing them to make their way out over the tracks. Electronic payment systems were hit too. For those with cash, panic buying ensued in the supermarkets. Those used to a contactless society saw long queues at ATMs. Spanish authorities say the blackout wiped 15 gigawatts off the grid in 5 seconds, or 60% of its total capacity. Over in Ukraine, the Trump administration finally got the minerals deal it wanted on Thursday. The deal came out of a meeting on the sidelines at the Vatican. The US dropped many of its demands from the initial deal, and profits from sales of Kiev's minerals will be split evenly between the two when the war ends.
It is an equal, good international deal about joint investments into the development and restoration of Ukraine.
The deal also comes with little to no strings attached for the US, no security guarantees, and peace remains a distant prospect, hanging few hopes on Russian President Vladimir Putin declaring yet another ceasefire of just a few days. But TRT World spoke to Ukrainian troops on the front lines, and they say the war is likely to end soon.
They are already running out of strength. At the beginning of the war, they fired 10 times more artillery than we did, and there were 10 times more tanks. Now they are firing much less than at the beginning of the war.
It was a somber weekend for Canadians ahead of Monday's elections. On Saturday, a car rammed into a Vancouver street festival and killed 11 people. The investigators ruled out terrorism as a possible motive, and polls put US calls to make Canada its 51st state front and center in voters' minds. Conservative candidate Pierre Poilievre paid the price for mimicking Trump, and his popularity among young voters wasn't enough for him to win. Over on Liberal side, Canada's placeholder PM Mark Carney secured himself a minority government and a full term.
I think Carney has some background of, being in business and finance and corporations, and I think at the moment that's what we need rather than just a straightforward politician.
And in Iran, an explosion at Bandar Abbas commercial port, the country's largest, killed at least 70 people and injured over 1,000 others on Saturday. Authorities ruled out the possibility of sabotage and said the blast was likely due to human error. Officials say they suspect negligence, including improper storage of chemicals.
And here's a sample of our programs: Money Talks, Africa Matters, and Beyond the Game.
Tech giants are riding an AI-fueled earnings boom as demand for artificial intelligence surges. It's transforming industries, but ethical concerns and regulatory hurdles loom large. Emre Boz looks at the industry's recent growth.
Satellites and space technology transform the way humans communicate, explore, and use data. They delivered global internet and telecommunications, unlocking new frontiers in scientific discovery. Now, artificial intelligence is poised to surpass this revolution.
AI is likely going to be quite an extraordinary industrial revolution in the sense that this new technology is going to enable a new industry that I just mentioned, AI factories, going to go back and revolutionize and transform every other industry.
AI is driving automation in areas like manufacturing and logistics, helping cut costs and boost productivity. And many tech giants are enjoying a surge in profits from AI chips and AI-driven platforms such as ChatGPT. Microsoft posted strong quarterly growth. It saw net income go up 18% to $25.8 billion. The growth was largely thanks to rising sales in its Azure cloud computing business. Meta's earnings exceeded expectations with first quarter net profits
African Development Bank says all but 7 African countries have been hit by higher U.S. tariffs. The hardest hit is Lesotho with 50%. Tuso Kumalu finds out how people in Maseru are reacting.
U.S. President Donald Trump may think that Africa's Lesotho is a country no one has even heard of. However, when an American buys jeans, chances are that it was made in Lesotho. The U.S. is threatening to slap 50% tariffs on the Mountain Kingdom to try and make up a $234 million trade deficit, according to the latest American trade data. And that could silence the sound of these garment grinding machines.
I am frustrated, scared that I might lose my job.
Karabelo is part of an estimated 12,000 textile industry workforce.
It's not only the people working in the textiles that are affected. There's people the ones that are not staying in the close proximity to the factories. They take taxis to work. The textile industry will also directly be impacted.
The government says textile factories supplying goods under the African Growth Opportunity Act, AGOA, make up 42% of the textile industry. 31-year-old Zepeng Lenko is already job hunting after she left a company that failed to pay her for 3 months.
My message to Trump would be that I would like him to please consider the 50% tariff. It's not going to be a good look, especially in terms of the fact that the country is already suffering.
Now, Liverpool are on top of the Premier League world, and it's a record-equaling 20th time they've become top-flight champions.
The Anfield side romped home, scoring 5 in a comprehensive victory. And cue the celebrations.
Winning it here was so important. We didn't want Palace to win in the week, we wanted it to be here, and today was special.
This one is better than 2020. No COVID, we can celebrate.
Few had seen it coming earlier in the season, with Man City favourites to win a 5th consecutive title, and fan favourite Jurgen Klopp replaced by a new boss, an unknown Dutchman. But after losing just twice and winning the title with 4 games to spare, Slot is now the toast of Merseyside. It all means the title heads to the red side of the city for the 20th time. Liverpool go level with arch-rivals Manchester United for having won the league the most times, with Arsenal, Manchester City, Everton and the rest trailing in their wake.
Sort of lost for words at the minute. I think I've waited for it my whole life. It's a special moment, and to be here today was something I'll never forget. Probably the best day of my life, to be honest.